Hey, you guys, welcome back, my YouTube friends. I just sat down to record this month's sessions episodes on the Soul Frequency Show podcast, which we've been doing now for 2 years. And I think it was last July that I just kind of got the inspiration to do these little short mini sessions, which used to come out on Mondays. Now they come out on Sundays, where we can kind of start the week in a positive, uplifting way and take a look at the things in our life and have maybe a quick little mental shift that needs to happen to step into a new way of being, to create something new in our life, or maybe even to release something that is not helping us anymore in our life, or maybe has never helped us. Maybe it's just something we're finally getting courageous enough to let go of. And so for you guys, before I jump into the actual episode, I come on here just to kind of share my thoughts. And I literally just got done with a small group of amazing human beings doing the Soul Frequency Experience, which is a 5-week deep dive program that I do live. I say live, but live over Zoom. So it's not a pre-recorded program. And it is a deep transformational process. That is for sure. We stay really connected, messaging each other throughout the 5 weeks. And we literally just got done with a pillar called experience, which is all about how we experience life, how our thoughts influence us, our emotions influence us, and how we take action in the world. And really opening up to how we want to be taking action in the world and the things that we want to be creating. So super inspiring morning. And now I get to be with you doing the sessions episodes. So excited. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have a blast. And I will just quickly pull up my notes and we will get started right here or right now with the official episode. This is Shauna Lee, and welcome to this week's The Soul Frequency Sessions, real talk about real life and how to raise your energy frequency. So today we're talking about changing negative thoughts to positive. I don't know a single person who would not be helped by changing negative thoughts to positive. It's interesting because a while back on Instagram, my handle is at the Soul Frequency. I do these little mini trainings within my stories. And so it'll be, 6 or 7 different stories on a subject and kind of how I see it or how it's helped the lives of other people that I work with. And so I did a story about thoughts. And research shows that we have 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. It's a lot of thinking we do. And that 98% of those thoughts are thoughts that we had yesterday. So we're not big at changing our thoughts. And that 80% of our thoughts on average are negative thoughts. And I really was thinking about the implications in the world of thought patterns that are negative. And what I know to be true that I talk about in my book, The Soul Frequency, is the creation equation, how we create everything in our life, begins with what we think, our thoughts. And a lot of times people say to me, I don't know how to make my negative thoughts positive. Like, that's so frustrating because I want to think positively, but I just don't know how to do it. And so I want to give you a few tools on this session on how to start shifting our thoughts. And I really think about this not just from how it's going to impact our individual lives, but how it will impact literally the world we live in. I mean, imagine if 80% of our thoughts were positive. Every one of us. Can you imagine the world that we'd live in? It'd be so different. So there's a lot of power behind what we think. And the first step in understanding this is we need to know what we're thinking. So in the Soul Frequency program, the experience, we do a thought tracker. So every 15 minutes, we track our thoughts so that we even know what's running through our head, because it's hard to know what's running through our minds. And we start to understand, where does my head go? And when I go to negative thoughts, how long do I stay there? Because sometimes we get caught up in negative thoughts for hours on end, right? Sometimes it's just a quick 5 minutes. So we just want to know where our thoughts are going first and have awareness around that. And then with the tracker, we can look at how often are we thinking negatively? Like, what are our negative thoughts? How those negative thoughts are impacting our life, how they're creating our experience. And we can start to understand how to shift that. So awareness is absolutely the number one key thing at the beginning. And then we want to start pattern interrupting those negative thoughts. That's how you start shifting them. If we keep laying the same foundation, laying the same pattern, and keep thinking the same thing, like 98% of people do, right? Day in and day out, same thoughts, then we keep getting the same results in our life. We keep getting the same experience. So thoughts are the access point to creating change in our life, to raising our frequency. And when we start having negative thoughts, we want to do things to interrupt that. So let's say you're having a negative thought and it doesn't feel good. And if you can get aware of it quickly, then you can do another behavior. You can either call a friend and start talking to them, because it's hard to be in a negative thought pattern, when you're pouring into the life of another or hearing, them share about their life. You can ask them to share about positive things that you are not wanting to really hear about negative stuff. You can also put on loud music. That's a great way to shift your thoughts. You can also take a run or take a walk or go do something, a physical activity. Move your physical body is a great way to shift our thought patterns. There's so many different ways that we can interrupt the pattern. So we just don't want to keep entertaining negative thought patterns endlessly, because it doesn't really get us anywhere that we want to go. So thinking about in your life, what are some thought patterns that haven't produced the result that you want? Whether it's feeling like unworthy of something, whether it's feeling not smart, whether it's feeling not pretty, whether it's feeling not talented, whether people have told you that fulfillment or happiness or success is not for you, whether it's ways you've witnessed this in other people in your life. Like sometimes people will say to me like, well, my mom's this way, my grandma's this way, and now I'm this way. And, we don't have to live according to other people's life experience. We can literally at this time on the planet create our own. So it's starting to have some conversation, some inner dialogue about where these thought patterns come from. Whether they're supportive to your life or not, and then how to start interrupting some of the patterns that don't feel supportive, that don't feel like they're helping move your life forward. Something very powerful happens in the soul frequency experience when people realize the power of their thoughts, and when they start using their thoughts to literally better their life instead of ways that kind of take our life down a few notches, right? And make us not feel good. And so when we get moving in an upward spiral direction instead of a downward spiral direction, life starts drawing in all kinds of different experiences and people and things that are supportive to us, because we are literally changing the frequency that we live at through that process. So it all begins with thoughts. Write down all of the things that come up for you this week around thoughts and start doing some beautiful pattern interrupting so you can start enjoying more of the positive and less of the thoughts that feel draining. I hope you have an amazing week ahead. All right, there is the podcast on changing negative thoughts to positive. So really important, you guys. Thoughts create things. Thoughts create things. That's it. If you want to change your life, if you want to repattern things, if you want to be in a transformational space in your life and really create something that feels good and amazing to you, then you have to look towards your thoughts. And in my book, The Soul Frequency, I talk about the creation equation in a lot of detail, and thoughts is just the first step in that. Then we go on to feelings, we go into action, we go into experience. So there's many different areas to look at and to really make it something that you work on, right? It's like learning to ride a bike. It doesn't happen right away, but if we keep getting on and keep getting on, eventually we ride. And it's the same thing with how we create in the world. So I hope you have an amazing week ahead, and I will see you back for the next episode.